dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News First at 4.
Good afternoon, I'm Steve Hensley. First at 4, the Pike County community is mourning the loss of a high school basketball player. Gabby McCoy was killed last night when she was shot accidentally by her older sister. Details today are slim, but those who coached against her on the basketball court say she was a great player, but an even better person. WYMT's Will Puckett has more.
Yeah, it's a loss that stretches far beyond a basketball court. Last night, Gabby McCoy lost her life after being accidentally shot. Now, we talked with the head girls basketball coach at Shelby Valley High School who coached against Gabby and her team at Phelps and even coached against her long before she became a star at Phelps. It's a loss that this community here in Pike County, and especially the Phelps community, still can't wrap their head around. But they say that Gabby McCoy was just a great basketball player and an even better girl.
Positive attitude. She was always positive throughout the ball game. She kept her teammates' spirits up through good and bad. She was constantly joking, smiling, and even when bad times came around, they knew they could rely on her, to lift them up.
Coach Rose says that last night when they heard the news, it was disbelief and then just pure prayers that everything would work out fine and that the family of McCoy finds solace in this terrible loss. In Pike County, Will Puckett, WYMT Mountain News.
Just a terrible story, and we'll have more on McCoy's life and how she touched people's hearts tonight at 6.
It's been a fairly nice day across the region. When we're talking about sunshine, especially take a look at UVA-wise at this hour. A lot of sun around and some clouds starting to filter in this afternoon, but again, no major issues. A couple of stray chances for showers still possible at times tonight, but you couldn't know that up on top of Buffalo Mountain. Barely any clouds in the sky here in Perry County. We go to live pinpoint Doppler radar and you can see a couple of showers down to the south in Tennessee, nothing here in Kentucky. Also a couple of showers up to the north in parts of Ohio, going back into the upper panhandle of West Virginia there as well. Temperatures, they are hot. 92 right here in Hazard right now, 90 Prestonsburg, 90 in Jonesville, Williamsburg, and close to it in most of the region at this hour. When you take a look at the forecast for the rest of the evening, we're going to see temperatures that slowly start to slide as we head deeper into the daytime hours and eventually getting down into the mid to lower 60s there by tomorrow morning. I'll have the rest of the forecast coming up for you here, Steve, in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Brandon. A Southern Kentucky community is in shock today after a well-known member of the community is murdered. Larissa Cox was shot and killed last night. Police say her daughter's boyfriend is the suspect. WYMT's Phil Pendleton spoke to friends of Cox's and has more from the Stearns community of McCreary County.
A light to everyone that knew her. That is how people here in the Stearns community are describing 48-year-old Larissa Cox. She was shot and killed, and police are telling us that the man accused of committing that crime is the boyfriend of Cox's daughter, Preston T. Clark. The shooting happened at a home on Old State Garage Road. Police say they're still investigating the motive, but it appears to have happened after some kind of argument between Cox and Clark. Cox was a former Miss McCreary Fest, currently worked as a nurse. She traveled frequently and was known for helping people.
She liked to help people. That was her career. She was a nurse, so she traveled all over the country, really. She had been in Hawaii, been in Minnesota recently as a nurse. So she just recently came home. We were happy to have her home, and then this horrible news.
Preston T. Clark is facing a charge of murder. He is being held in the Leslie County Jail. We are told that he did not want to talk to us about these allegations. In McCreary County, Phil Pendleton, now back to you.
An autopsy will be performed on Cox's body tomorrow. Pikeville police arrested Anthony Baker yesterday at his home in the former Rags to Riches building on Hambly Boulevard. Police say he was hosting parties in the building with alcohol, drugs, and underage kids. He was taken to the Pike County Detention Center on multiple charges, including wanton endangerment and endangering the welfare of a minor. Police Chief Chris Edmonds says the department had to move quickly.
Due to the nature of the children involved and the ages of them, that we probably deemed it was necessary. We went ahead and done the warrants and made the arrest.
Edmonds said the investigation is still ongoing and may result in more charges. We'll have more on this coming up at 5:30. Smoking in public buildings is now banned in all of Perry County. A new ordinance makes it illegal to smoke 15 feet away from any public door, window, or inside any public building. This also includes e-cigarettes. People in local diners that used to allow smoking had strong opinions about the decision.
I do think it's better. Business has picked up, but my mom suffered from COPD, so she could never come here before because, I mean, she couldn't stand it. She was on oxygen. And there's a lot of older people that like to come in here and eat, and they could never do that before because, I mean, you smelled like it when you left. I mean, it was overwhelming.
Everyone we talked to today, including one smoker, said they supported the county's decision. The city of Hazard passed a similar ordinance in 2016. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell spoke on the Senate floor earlier today and said if House Democrats make changes to the Senate border bill, it will be tabled.
The United States Senate is not going to pass a border funding bill that cuts the money for ICE and the Department of Defense. It's not going to happen. We already have our compromise. The Shelby Leahy Senate bill is the only game in town. Time to quit playing games. Time to make a law.
Meanwhile, the Supreme Court decided to block a question about citizenship from the 2020 census. The nation's highest court ruled against adding the question to the census for the first time since 1950. Data from the census is used to allocate congressional seats and distribute billions of federal dollars to states and local municipalities. The Trump administration claimed the citizenship question is necessary to better comply with federal voting rights law. Critics argued it is an attempt to intimidate non-citizens and Hispanic households. They say it could also lead to a decline in response rates and underrepresentation of minorities. The U.S. Supreme Court says drawing voting districts for political gain may be unjust, but that it is not for federal courts to decide. In a 5-4 decision, the court ruled federal judges do not have the power to rule on gerrymandering cases. Justices were asked to consider challenges out of North Carolina and Maryland on maps politicians consider unfair. While Americans prepare to celebrate Independence Day, a 4th of July tradition faces a potential threat. The majority of fireworks sold in the U.S. are manufactured in China, but a trade war between the two countries may cause prices to skyrocket. Skip McCall manages this store for Phantom Fireworks, the country's largest consumer-based fireworks retailer.
Do you think it could affect your livelihood if these tariffs are applied?
I think it will. I worry more about our employees.
Owners hope China and the U.S. reach an agreement before the president's 25% proposed tariffs take effect. Speaking of the president, he arrived in Osaka, Japan this morning for the G20 summit. He is set to hold meetings with the leaders of 9 countries, from American allies to modern adversaries like Vladimir Putin of Russia and the Chinese president. Before he left Washington yesterday, the president was asked about the chances he will strike a deal with China to end the escalating trade war.
There's a possibility. I'm meeting with Russia, I'm meeting with China, I'm meeting with many countries.
The president will discuss Iran with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. Tomorrow, the president will hold his first formal meeting with Vladimir Putin since their summit in Helsinki, Finland last July. Set over to Wall Street now on this Thursday afternoon. The Dow closes down today more than 10 points. Straight ahead on First at 4, a woman in New Jersey claims her son's bully assaulted her, renewing a debate about teen bullying.
People have been asking me for weeks where summer heat is. Well, it's here right now and it's not going anywhere. On Blake's forecast in a few minutes.